Welcome, friends. It's Miss Chisa, and today we have a very special author, Jenni Nakken, author of the No Bad Feelings book series. Hi, Jenni.
Hi,
Thanks for joining us today.
thank you for having me.
Jenni, your books focus on helping children understand and process their emotions, which we all need, adults and children alike. How are your books different than other books out there about feelings?
I help kids and families know how their emotions are helpful. So even feelings like mad and sad and worried, they're very helpful for you. And I tell kids why.
Yeah, and that is so important from an early educator standpoint all the way up through, I'm going to say adulthood, right?
Yeah.
Because we didn't really have that kind of education growing up about feelings. It was just kind of like de deal with it, right?
hmm
Um, what inspired you to start writing these books about emotions?
Yeah, I used to teach special ed and I had to teach about emotions. And a lot of the kids, I would say, emotions, feeling mad is okay, but hurting someone is not. And they'd
Right.
say, well, why is it okay to be mad? And so I looked for books, I looked for lesson plans, I looked for videos, and there was just nothing out there that told us why it was okay to feel mad or sad or worried or scared or whatever it was. So
Yeah.
I decided then and there that I was going to write my own books that answered all the questions that my students were asking me, that what are emotions, where do they come from, why do we have them, and then how are they helpful for me?
Yeah. All of those things so important. And I don't know any other book that talks about emotions in that way.
Exactly.
So many of your books use real life scenarios or common challenges that kids face. So how do you decide which emotion or situation you're going to focus on first?
What I've done is I focused on anger first because that was the most prominent emotion that I saw that was kind of being shoved down or pushed away.
Yeah.
And so I started with anger, and then just any themes that I saw from my teaching days. Like one of my books talks about how emotions and actions are separate things. And so being mad is okay, but hurting someone is not. And we get to choose what we do with our mad.
I
The
love that.
next two I did sadness and worry. And I was trying to think of the most felt emotions that seemed bad. And I felt like a lot of kids are feeling anger, a lot of kids are feeling sadness, worry. I haven't done fear yet, but that was another one. So I wanted to start with those because that's what I was seeing in real life.
Well, while we're on that topic, uh, is there a hint about your next book?
Yeah. So I've been coming out with two at a time,
Okay.
and I don't have plans necessarily anytime soon, but my next two, I think I'm going to focus on joy and fear, because even
Wonderful.
joy can be viewed as bad depending on how kids see their emotions. And I am of the understanding that there are not necessarily good or bad feelings, they just are.
Yeah.
And
I love
so
that.
a lot of kids, though, think, well, happy is a good emotion because no one ever gets hurt. And I have an example where my nephew was really excited and he was jumping around and he accidentally hurt his brother because he was swinging his arms. And so I tell kids, so happy's bad because he got hurt. And they get really confused. No, 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 that's not how it works. So I have to explain your emotions and your actions are separate. And so, anyway, so I still want to write a book on happy, even though I think a lot of people notice the benefits of happy, but I don't think they realize how happy can be viewed as bad if we're taking it to the extreme.
Right. And I love what you just said, that the actions and the emotions are separate. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah. Yep. We don't get to choose our emotions, but we do get to choose our actions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really important to emphasize.
Yeah.
So, how do your books help children, teachers, and parents in their everyday life? Because it's not just at school, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so the other thing I noticed in a lot of emotions books was they focused on like emotions are okay, which I love, and they focused on coping mechanisms, which I also loved.
Right.
But coping mechanisms are only one step of the whole process of regulating. So I wanted to write some books that told you the other steps. Why aren't we teaching the whole process of regulating instead of just skipping to our coping mechanisms? So I include in my book some of those steps, and some of those steps are naming your emotion, accepting your emotion, validating it, or telling your emotion like it's okay that you're here. Just think little things like that are really powerful in helping a kid to start regulating those emotions instead of shoving them away, pushing them down, trying to get rid of them. I also try to help kids change their view of emotions. So
Yeah.
instead of something that's there, that's kind of a problem that we're getting rid of, it's more of a friend here to give us a message and to help us solve a problem. And once that problem is solved, the friend kind of goes away and then they'll come back and they'll go away. I mean, they kind of come and go, but it's rare for the emotions just come and stay. And I
Yeah.
also talk about in my books, if there is an emotion that is always there, that what you can do to help with that, because that is a different story. And there are some people that have emotions that come and stay and they don't know what to do and they think there's something wrong with them. So I do talk about steps like that after like talking to a grown up or, maybe getting some help from a doctor or trying different methods. But anyway, I wanted to focus on the whole process of regulating, not just the step of coping.
Yeah, I think that's really important because I don't think it's intuitive for parents and
Mhm.
adults to go through all of those steps. Um,
No.
and so I think it's a really, you do it in such an easy way for parents to just be able to read these books and then have this conversation and then go through this process
Mhm.
of self-regulating, helping a child self-regulate.
Yeah.
Um, how I know that beyond the books, that you also have other ways that you connect with children and families,
Mhm.
like school visits. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I do school visits, author visits, I do emotions workshops. I also do speaking events. So I speak at conferences to adults. And I also do parent nights where I teach parents how to help their kids regulate. Because, like you were saying, it's not necessarily intuitive. There's
Right.
not a ton of research out there. So I
Mhm.
took the research that was out there and kind of created some steps, created a method of how to help parents regulate, well, teach their kids to regulate, but also themselves regulate.
Yes.
And so it's been really fun to do all these workshops and these different things. And I just love being with the kids, but I also love being with the parents.
Yes. Yeah, and you touched upon another point that oftentimes when a child is screaming or having a tantrum or these big feelings, that oftentimes we parents become dysregulated, right?
Uh-huh.
And so that is, I think it's beneficial for the kiddo, but it's also beneficial for the parent to recognize that and then go through those steps as well.
Yeah, it really is because we can't help our kids regulate if we're not regulated
Right.
ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And I watch a lot of what you say, and that is a big message um in your talks. So
Hmm.
so how can parents and families find and teachers find your books, your workshops, all that you offer?
The best way to find me is probably on my website. I also have lesson plans for any teachers out there that I have one lesson plan per book. They're really easy. They're all laid
Wonderful.
out for you. They include everything in the lesson plan. So I used to be a teacher. I know how difficult some lesson plans can be. So anyway, I wanted to write some lesson plans for teachers. So my website is probably the best way, or just reaching out to me directly. A lot of people do that as well. So my website is jennynackenbooks.square.site.
Wonderful.
And that's it. And it should just pull up, even if you just search Jenni Nakken Books, it'll pull up my website on Google.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing about your book series. I think it's a really important one, and I hope parents and teachers and educators will contact you and get those lesson plans because I think those will be an amazing add-on to your books.
Yes. Yeah, they're really fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being with us, Jenny. And readers, we'll see you next time.
Thanks
Bye.
for having me.
Thank you for joining me today. Remember to like and subscribe to support our channel.